live anymore.
How do you feel like you will enjoy peace? How do you assume that the other side is better? Well, nobody knows after all. For as long as you're living, there's no way you get to know what is on the other side of death.
In fact, what happens, the imagination, because I've spoken to several people who have come to the brink of committing suicide, you find their imagination, they see the main day when they'll be buried. And they are seeing all the people crying, people saying we missed this person. So this person has lacked their attention. They are looking for attention. They think that when they are dead, they will experience all the love and the care that they are not receiving at this particular time.
And true to it, most of them get to that point because they do not receive the love and the care. So how do we get to that point where we'll give everyone around us enough love that will be shared across the three of us, enough love that will be good enough for me, myself, so I do not lose it also, and enough love to be able to troubleshoot and tell that someone is in trouble, and if we do not address this, it can get into an aspect of them getting suicidal.
You know, if I may chip in a little bit, my name is Reverend George Muwashege, and I've met this kind of people. And the first thing that they believe, it's a lie in their mind. You know, grass is always greener on the other side. That's what we think. We've been told by reverends, pastors, that we are going to heaven. It's a better on the other side. You know, so it sticks in your mind. And due to whatever you're going through here, you think that, okay, what if I go to the other side, where I'll just rest and people will not see me, you know, I'll not be bothering people. It's a lie in the mind that the other side is going to be better. You know, you are communicating to God and telling him, you know what, I can fire myself, you don't have to fire me. And you're just quitting and going. But the fact is, this person needs to be listened to. I remember we've ever discussed again and said that it is very important to have two people. In fact, the Bible says two are better than one. Every time, and these people, you note that they'll start changing. You know, somebody has started changing. Somebody is not behaving the way they used to behave. Somebody is already saying it. You know, those people who commit suicide, sometimes at one time of their life, they will tell somebody that I'm feeling that I am done. I'm feeling that I want to. It's too much for me.
The other time we had a conversation about mental health. You were here.
I remember.
And I'd love to know, what is the connection of mental health with that aspect of one getting into the point of being suicidal? What is the connection of that with lineage? Because there are a couple of times we've had, you know, what kwa familia, this is what happens. And then it gets to that point. True to it, you find that, well, if a dad did that, maybe later on a grandchild would do the same thing.
You see, one thing I'll say, and this maybe I can get it into maybe on a spiritual note. You will find what goes through families, if it is not dealt with at a certain level, most likely it will affect the next level. And you find there are people, for example, even when it comes to divorce, if a man does not stand for his family and he gives up and divorces, for whatever reason, there could be good reason or bad reasons, the son who is in that marriage or the daughter in that marriage has learned something, that if marriage is not working, you quit. So you find there are people who experience their fathers or their mothers committing suicide. And so they are like, it becomes something that is a written code in their subconscious, that if things overwhelm you, then the easiest way is to get out. So it becomes something that is already adopted. Their subconsciousness just adopts it. That, bypassing that, you will find most of the people who commit suicide usually have got a mental issue that has come out from genuine troubles that they have gone through or perceived. You know, there are people who sit down and imagine. Like I spoke to one, and this one was a lady, and the lady was saying, I imagine everybody hates me.
Sometimes, us pastors do mistakes. Somebody has committed suicide, and there we are with ceremony. Reverend George is studying there, putting up the heart. He is going to heaven. He is going to rest. You know,
what are you supposed to do?
Let me tell you.
Welcome, and it is.
We will not wear a certain kind of cord because this person committed suicide. You know, we will not do some things because this person will not be taken to church because they committed suicide. In that way, you are condemning that act. In that way, the children who are there, they know it's bad. Because the children, even I am a teacher also, and these children know that it's not only what I tell them with my mouth, It is more so what I do.
Okay, so we get this phrase a lot, that, you know, someone is suicidal, or they were suicidal after all, or some of the things that they did got us thinking that they were suicidal. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it's as good as an accident, but you're being told that, oh, you're driving very fast, so maybe that's a suicidal aspect of it. So what are some of these things to look out so you can conclude that someone is suicidal? And why does it get to that point where people have this phrase? Pretty common.
You know, one of the things you'll find, you know, when people commit suicide, I say they have gone through to a very high level of stress. Okay. To the point where they get into depression. And of course, one of the greatest indicators is somebody who used to eat normally. Is not sick, they are not complaining of they have malaria or something like that, but suddenly they stop eating. So you need to start, and they withdraw. Because if it's a happy person, somebody who comes to the office and is very hype, and suddenly you look like this person is no longer talking to people, that means something is happening to their mind that has caused them to withdraw. They are going through a process of asking themselves some questions. Am I better off here or in the other place? They are trying to say, I found a solution. Okay. Somebody else may begin to be careless. Somebody who was not, for example, drinking, begins to drink. Somebody, if it's a man, he begins to hang around with maybe picking any woman anywhere. That is telling you the person has become so careless, he doesn't care what happens. As you are saying, there are people who will intentionally drive their cars and drive them into a wall. And you'll be saying he had an accident.
I don't understand then, where do you get the wisdom to know that this is an indicator, this is a telltale sign, this is a cause for worry?
You know what will happen? Definitely, as he puts, somebody will be different. It doesn't mean that they'll be very happy.
You know, I want a happy person, by the way. Yeah, so if all of a sudden you're a happy character, I am happy about it.
You go for it.
Yes.
But this is the point. You know there is a change. And this person will tell at least one person. Even in our discussion, I will hear you saying, I think it's a solution. You know, but whichever fact or whichever ground, death is not a solution.
Okay.
Whichever so if we are discussing and you are just talking normal talks and you're saying that I think it's a solution, so I know that's an indicator you're heading the wrong direction.
Okay.
If I see like you had a phone, a good one, an iPad, then you're giving out to people, you're giving your friends, so you're preparing for something, I should see there is danger. Okay. And from that point, then I should walk with you. You know, it's very important to have very good friends, and even for you, there are people that you open to, the people you can empty yourself to. Every time somebody commits suicide, okay, we've not heard them after committing suicide saying what they were thinking or what they were planning. But in most cases, you'll find those people, you must hear that they had told somebody somewhere that I'm planning to do this. I'm thinking this is a solution. I'm thinking this is the way forward, because death should not be a solution. And they will tell somebody somewhere what they are planning. Okay.
All right. So sometimes they speak out, but they do not speak out what it is that would help save. So in this case, before it get to that thought, to that, end game, that's the ultimate thought. How then do we get people to speak out, to say that I am in trouble, and especially the men? Yeah.
No, when I come to men will only talk to that person they trust.
Yeah.
So that is why you find a man can be drinking with his friends today, eating with his friends today, then tomorrow you hear he committed suicide. And the guys will be like, we were with him. He never even told any one of us. That means they could not trust you. Because men will only tell somebody. That's why you'll find even in marriages, a man will not tell his wife something that he knows probably, number one, can be used as against them. Because what does men fear most is signs of weakness. We are created as protectors. We are protected as, created as providers. So, and a protector is not supposed to show their weakness. That is the normal nature. And so we have taken that even to when we have trouble. Instead of maybe communicating to someone, you are afraid that if I tell my wife I'm feeling like committing suicide, she will see me as a weakling. And so what I say is that we need to become genuine people. If I'm a man, when I have a friend of mine, I need to let them know that in case you're going through trouble, then know I'm there for you.
Okay.
Because all what a man is looking for is to know there is another person that is there for you.
Generally, sometimes after they speak out, you know, there's a lot of condemnation, there's a lot of stigma that comes along with that. And maybe that's what would get you not speaking the next time you go through something. So you just go into your own cocoon and you prefer your special space. But to speak about this, would it be a little bit too radical to say that the society has failed in the approach that it has taken, you know, on matters mental health, on matters, you know, addressing depression, and even when it gets to that level of, you know, suicide?
I think the society really has failed.
Okay.
And as I said again, the reverends have failed. The pastors have failed. Somebody is killed, and you're there singing those beautiful songs for that person. I think there should be a difference. I think the government has failed, because the government should speak out, should be able to tell, like the way we are being told, 20 people have died of COVID, 30 people have died of COVID. We should be told 10 people have committed suicide, and the government should be able to find out, why are guys committing suicide? What is happening? If the government is just seeing, and you know, they know, like Kenyatta Hospital, 20 people came, 30 people came, you know, they know the numbers, they have the numbers, and they should be in a position to tell, this is the direction we are taking. And the government should be in a position again to chip in and help and assist. But when the government is not concerned, you know, sometimes I look at it and I see the priorities, including where we are today, you know, the priorities. We have these issues and we are concentrating on these issues. Guys are hanging themselves, yet instead of discussing that, we are going in other issues. The society, we, including myself, including George, the Reverend, who will go to that burial ceremony, we have failed. We need to change and go back.
I have a feeling that we probably have had this conversation with you before, and those are years and years back, and we're still having the same conversation. It means that, you know, instead of the situation being solved, it's probably getting worse. And then I ask myself, just what is the essence of us having this conversation, and what kind of approach should we take so that at least we realize results in solving this and, you know, avoiding that scenario where many will opt for suicide?
One, as a Reverend said, having this conversation here, there's somebody who will be watching and will say, I don't have to commit suicide. Secondly, there is also, we find in some nations they have established what we call suicide watch, where somebody knows I can call anonymously and I can say I am planning to commit suicide. And they will have somebody, a counselor on the other side, who will have a serious in Kenya, we find so many counselors. There we have counselors, but we don't have what we call lines, toll-free lines, where somebody can call and just say, this is what I'm going through. And as I said, when somebody speaks, like now today we have seen the rate of HIV go down. Why? Because on the media, there was a program where you find every day they're speaking about HIV, stop stigmatizing people with HIV, and eventually somebody can come out and just say, I have HIV, because they will not have the support. If only we can understand that people who are planning to commit suicide, number one, they're mentally with a disorder, and they need help. Instead of looking at, you know, like the way we look at suicide is like, ni mtu ambaye tabia zake ni mbaya. So we don't feel like they need support. It's like a thief. Yes, he steals, which is wrong, but why do we kill them? Because we look at that person and say, ni tovu wa tabia. Now, labda the guy has been stealing because he has no food. So we need to create a situation whereby we can have a toll-free line. Even such a station you can have. You say, if you want to commit suicide, tafadhali tupigie, and we'll connect you to a counselor. So if we establish something like that.
Right, as we get to wind up, sometimes people commit suicide and actually they end up murdering the people who are next to them. I mean, to what point can it get to where you think, okay, well, it's me, and then yes, other person? And in most cases, they'll tell you it is out of love that they did that.
I want to talk about that person who kills other people and also kills himself. And I want to say an example which that happened in Kenya one time. This guy is a man, afraid, there are many guys, and they are moving around. And this guy finds a beautiful girl and takes the beautiful girl. And the friends know about it. And he goes with the girl, and this girl is having HIV/AIDS. So after this guy realizes that the girl had HIV/AIDS and already sick also. So he goes to the friends with a gun. And when they are seated like that, he shoots them. And finally, when he is shooting them, he said, you fools, you could not tell me that Shiko had AIDS, and you knew. And he kills them. Then afterwards kills himself. So this person who does this is bitter with the other people because they did not behave well towards him. And I'm not sure this person will go to heaven after killing those people. Maybe depending on what he told God by the time he was dying.
Yeah.
But we need to be very careful with those. If you know your friend or the people that you walk around with can kill, then they are very dangerous.
Okay, all right. Well, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
Well, as we come to a close, Reverend Julius Kimani, sometimes we beat ourselves so much just because someone mentioned something that could have been a sign that they need help and you did not do anything, and there they are. And some of us live with this guilt for quite a long time. How do we get ourselves from that as we close it?
No, it's important to realize there is the much you can do.
Yeah.
Like if a building is burning and you are not a fireman, you cannot sit back and say, I wish I mean, I'm feeling so bad that I could not rescue those people.
Yeah.
Not everybody will be sensitive enough to know that their friends are trying to commit suicide. And you are not a counselor.
Okay.
It's just like sitting down there and saying, this person, I could not treat them. You're not a doctor. So don't reach a place. If you did what you are supposed to do, you have done enough.
Okay.
If you did not pick it, it is not because of you. Because there are people who, even if sometimes they are on their path of destruction, no matter what you do, it will not stop them. So don't sit back and say, I wish I was there for him. And
I know we cannot expound on these subjects, but we can leave it at that. And I know we've picked something that could be of importance to us. We keep saying, speak out, speak out, speak out. Some of these problems that you're going through, others have gone through, others will go through, they have been solved. So why don't you speak out and see whether you can get help?
Thank you, Linda Alela, for that much needed talk. And always remember that there is no rope worth your life.